Yes, guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to this evening's live stream. And there's plenty to bring you in tonight's stream. You know, Petr Cech leaving Chelsea Football Club today. Got the latest on Jules Koundé, Matthias de Ligt, Raheem Sterling, Richarlison, and obviously those links to Cristiano Ronaldo over the weekend. And I'll also touch on Neymar. Before I get cracking, guys, please make sure you smash the like button. It really helps me out. And please do click that subscribe button as well. Looking to hit 600 subscribers by the end of this week. So every new subscriber helps. So please click that subscribe button. I really appreciate all of your support. And also, guys, get involved in the chat as well. I'm on my own tonight. So, get involved. It'd be great to hear your thoughts and opinions as always. But there's only one place to start. Petr Cech is leaving Chelsea Football Club. Todd Boehly wanted him to stay. To help him through this transfer window, but Cech has decided that now is the right time to depart the club. He'll be leaving at the end of this week, so the end of the month on Thursday. Petr Cech will be leaving Chelsea Football Club. There's a statement out on the Chelsea website today, which I will just bring up now. So Petr Cech will be leaving his role as technical and performance advisor effective from the 30th of June. Since his appointment 3 years ago, Cech has provided advice and guidance on all football and performance-related matters throughout the club, while strengthening the link between our men's and academies teams. Cech went on to say, "It's been a huge privilege to perform this role at Chelsea for the past 3 years. With the club under new ownership, I feel now is the right time for me to step aside. I am pleased that the club is now in an excellent position with the new owners, and I am confident of its future success both on and off the pitch." Todd Boehly, chairman and co-controlling owner, said Petr is an important member of the Chelsea family. We understand his decision to step away and thank him for his contributions. As an advisor and his commitment to the club and to our community, we wish him the best. Obviously, sad to see a legend like Petr Cech leave the club, but it's not at all surprising. Todd Boehly obviously has come in. He wants to bring his own people in. We've seen obviously Marina Granovskaya move on. We've seen Bruce Buck move on. And whilst Boehly obviously wanted Cech to stay, I think Cech decided that kind of now was perhaps the right time for him to move on. It was a restructuring. I don't think it's anything to worry about necessarily in terms of, should we be worried? Is Cech not liking something that's potentially going on at the club? I think it was the right time to part ways. Yes, we could have done with his help to the end of the window, but realistically, whether he goes now, whether he goes on September 1st, I don't really think it makes too much difference at all. Boehly wants to bring his own people and he might have a slightly different way of how he wants to operate things, and Cech, that might not suit how Cech likes to work, and perhaps it's deemed best to part ways and it's to be expected. I don't think it's a massive shock like some people might think it is. It's part of the transition to new owners. They want their own people. And this is not really a surprise. Yeah, it'd be sad to see him go. A legend as a player, he was instrumental in obviously getting us Edouard Mendy to the club. And I know a lot of people, including myself, have said, well, what does Petr Cech really do? But obviously, he's a strong link in negotiations. I think you remember him flying out to Germany with Frank Lampard to speak to the likes of Kai Havertz and Timo Werner. He's been important in negotiations over the years. The fact that he speaks multiple languages, and I think a lot of things that maybe I certainly didn't really realise this, and I'm not sure if a lot of other people do either, is that, let me just bring it up now. Where is it? Let me just find it now. Here it is here. Is that, according to Liam Toomey in The Athletic, Petr Cech did more than anyone else to convince Thomas Tuchel to join Chelsea, with numerous lengthy phone calls to set aside any doubts over the job. Now, that's phenomenal. Like, forget what he did in his performance advisory role or whatever it was. The fact that he took the time to convince Thomas Tuchel to come to Chelsea, lengthy phone calls, set any doubts aside, and kind of now look where we are. We've got a manager who could potentially be here for the next 5-6 years and build something really special at Chelsea Football Club and hopefully get us back to winning the Premier League again. So Cech, just for that alone, is more than enough, in my opinion. But obviously, I guess one thing that there was a disagreement on was obviously Marina Granovskaya and Petr Cech both wanted Romelu Lukaku to stay for one more season. Thinking that perhaps we should have tried a little bit harder to get more out of him and to make this move work. Obviously, Todd Bowley's sided with Thomas Tuchel and it's got Lukaku out. It's not a great deal, if we're being perfectly honest. €8 million back in when we spent £97.5 million only a year ago. But the fact is that Bowley is now fully backing Thomas Tuchel. He's asking Tuchel, does he want this player? Does he not want this player? And if he doesn't, they're gone. And that's the case of Lukaku. But in terms of Cech, grateful for the service, as a player and in this role behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, with a new owner coming in, they're going to have their own way of doing things. And Cech's decided it's time to move on. I don't think it's any deeper than that. Chelsea are going to be looking for a new director of football. Names have been mentioned. There's a short list, likes of Michael Edwards at Liverpool, Paul Mitchell at Monaco, Berta at Atletico Madrid, and Maxwell as well, who's a former Brazilian fullback who's been an assistant sporting director at PSG, is another potential name on that list. But yeah, Petr Cech moving on, be leaving at the end of the week. Sad to see him go, but I don't think it's as big a issue as maybe other people do believe. But yeah, Petr Cech leaving Chelsea Football Club. So Todd Bowley's not messing about now. He's come in, Mourinho's gone, Buck's gone, and now Petr Cech has gone as well. So it'll be interesting to see what people come in to replace those big characters and important personnel. It'll be interesting to see who comes in now to take on those jobs and how long that will take, because obviously now it's realistically just Bowley and Tuchel running the transfers this summer, unless a director of football comes in the next few weeks, essentially. But yeah, Petr Cech leaving Chelsea Football Club. So that's kind of the big news, big breaking news, I guess, from today, is that Cech is moving on. So yeah, thank you, Petr, and we'll see what happens in the future. Another thing that I just wanted to bring up was Andreas Christensen's been speaking. Obviously, well documented that he was leaving Chelsea Football Club quite a while ago. Now he's going to sign for Barcelona. The contract's all agreed, I think signed, etc. Just Barca, for the financial reasons, haven't been able to unveil him or officially register him, etc. But Andreas Christensen, who we don't hear an awful lot from, to be perfectly honest, is taken to his Instagram today to thank the Chelsea fans and say goodbye. I think a nicely written statement. Thank you for everything. I had a tough decision to make at the age of 16 to leave Denmark. There was only ever one choice for me, and that was Chelsea. From the moment I arrived, they made me feel at home. I'm grateful to Jim Fraser and Neil Bath, who immediately embraced me as part of their family. Some of my proudest moments at the club were when we won FA Youth Cup and UEFA Youth League. Those were a special group of young players, and I was proud to have as teammates. Last year was my proudest achievement as a player when we lifted the Champions League in Porto. I was a young boy at Chelsea with all the hopes and fears of a player starting his career. I'm grateful to the whole club for making my dream come true. Having spent 10 amazing years here, I felt now was the right time for a new beginning for me and my family. Mentally, the last few months have been tough, as it's not been an easy decision to leave this club and the fans. I'm not the most talkative person, so sometimes people don't understand how much the club and the fans mean to me. I'll miss the players, staff, and everyone here. I wish the best for the club and the fans in the future. I think that's a very nice thing written by Christensen. Obviously, we're used to seeing these things on social media now. We don't hear a lot from Christensen. Obviously, the back end of his Chelsea career, some difficult times. Obviously, something going on causing him to pull out of matches last minute, etc. That he's obviously not wanted to go into, which is entirely his prerogative as a private matter. But yeah, it's nice to see Christensen kind of put this chapter to bed at Chelsea, and I do wish him all the best. I know there'll be certain sections of the fan base that don't like him or think he's a snake and all that sort of nonsense. At the end of the day, this is a young guy, came here at 15, 16 years of age, spent 10 years at the club. Yes, it would have been nice to keep him, but ultimately he's decided to move on, and that's up to him. And I do wish him all the best in that regard, to be perfectly honest. I don't see any issue with that whatsoever. But yeah, let's get back to the main transfer news then. And we'll start things off with the news on Raheem Sterling, Chelsea's number one priority attacking signing. Thomas Tuchel likes the player a lot. A bid is expected to be going in imminently. There was obviously a kind of a proposal rejected, unofficial. It was through intermediaries, sounded out. They obviously fed that back onto Manchester City. And that subsequently, they were like, no, there's no way we're accepting that. So Chelsea are expected to go in with an official bid for Sterling imminently. Hopefully this week, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Mourinho was handling negotiations with City, but Todd Bowley is now going to take over those negotiations. I'll just bring it up on the screen now, the latest on that front. Absolute Chelsea form bit. No, let me just bring it up now. Fabrizio. So Chelsea will submit a new proposal for Raheem Sterling as they're already working on it. Tuchel wants him, and personal terms have already been discussed. Chelsea, well informed on that Man City are open to selling Sterling, and so are ready to negotiate after an opening bid was toned down. New proposal coming soon. Personal terms already discussed with Sterling. Tuchel is pushing. So Raheem Sterling is obviously the priority signing. Thomas Tuchel wants him. I like many other Chelsea fans and sections of the fan base have said, look, we've got to back the manager, and the manager wants Sterling, so we have to back it. We can't be like back Tuchel, and then when he picks players that he wants, be like, oh, I don't want them. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It's twofold. You back the manager, and you have to accept what he's going to do. And I've warmed to this move a lot more than I did when the links first were emerging. I was a little bit unsure. I don't know if it really excited me that much. Was it going to really move the needle? But now that I've kind of looked into it a bit more, stepped back, had a bit more of a thought around it, I think Sterling is massively disrespected. And I include myself in dishing out some of that disrespect. I think his record in the Premier League is phenomenal. I mean, he was great when he broke through at Liverpool. He's done really well at City. He's improved year upon year under Pep Guardiola. His output's decent. He plays a lot of minutes. He's key to how City play. And if it wasn't for him on the last day of the season coming off the bench, then the title could have been Liverpool's, and that would have been an absolute disaster. So we have got a lot to thank him for in that sense. But yeah, I think Sterling's a top player, 27 years of age. I think only Mane and Salah have scored more Premier League goals than him as a winger. He's got a phenomenal record. He's in the prime of his career. He's won the Premier League 4 out of the past 6 seasons. He's a winner. All he's looking for is that Champions League trophy. So no better place to come than Stamford Bridge. Apparently, he's looking for assurances over first-team football, which he'll get at Chelsea, and a club that can challenge for major trophies, which again, he'd get at Chelsea. So I think this move is very much a matter of when, not if. The bid's going in now. In the case of price as well, I mean, City wanting maybe 50, 60 million pounds. I think that we can get Sterling for 45 million plus add-ons. I think that would be an acceptable deal. You don't want it going too much more than that, realistically. 45 plus add-ons. But do I expect that bid that goes in the coming days to be the bid that gets accepted? Probably not. But you don't want to storm in at 50 mil and then City be like, oh, well, there's probably a bit of room for negotiation here. Maybe we can get 55, 60. If we go in, maybe I'm expecting us to perhaps go in around the 30, 35 million pound mark plus add-ons, and then kind of meet in the middle somewhere, 40, 45 million plus add-ons, some of which will be easily attainable and others not so easily attainable. I think that's where I expect the deal to sit. This deal now, I think, is definitely going to happen. I think Sterling wants it. Tuchel wants it. The only stumbling block is obviously the fee now. And I think, yes, it's perhaps not like a massive name, but I think this is a sign of the times to come at Chelsea. I don't think this is a deal that we would have necessarily seen happen under Roman Abramovich. I think it's very much, we didn't do an awful lot of shopping from within the Premier League. But someone of Sterling's age, 27, knows the league inside out. Yes, he'll have to adapt to the system, etc. But, he's got a good goal. He scores goals. He'll get chances here, perhaps not as many as he did at City. And he does miss a lot of chances, but he does score as well. And the most important thing to remember is that he's a massive upgrade on what we've already got in those attacking areas. Bar Mount, everyone else was subpar last season in those attacking positions. And Sterling is a massive improvement on that. And I guess that's all you can ask for. And someone who's 27 years of age, in the prime of their career, England international, single-handedly pretty much took England to the finals of the Euros in Gareth Southgate's dead football system. I think people need to put a bit more respect on his name. I'm quite excited by the prospect of it, but it's with one caveat that he needs to sign and play as a winger. I don't want him to be signed and playing as a false nine. I've got no issue with Sterling dropping in as a false nine in certain games or part of a kind of a fluid front three, and he finds himself playing false nine 10, 15 minutes here and there during games. But I think it's a massive mistake if we're signing Sterling to play predominantly as a false nine. I hope that's not the case. But yeah, it looks like the Raheem Sterling deal is gathering pace and a bid is imminent. Guys, obviously let me know in the chat what your thoughts are on the Sterling deal, whether it's a good piece of business, what sort of price you think we should be paying. But at the end of the day, whether it's 45 million pounds, whether it's 50 million pounds, 5 million pounds here or there, I don't think is is that much of a makes that much of a difference? Perfectly honest, if Tuchel wants him, we're going to pay the money that we think's right to get him. So just get him in, and we can start working with him. It would be great if we could get this signing wrapped up by the start of pre-season at the end of the weekend, and we could just have one signing in for pre-season, particularly attackers. I don't think we've had an attacker, do a full pre-season for a while now. I think particularly in the attacking positions, to get a full pre-season under the belt is really important at a new team. So the sooner we can get this wrapped up, the better. But it looks like Raheem Sterling to Chelsea is virtually, well, not virtually done. That's a lie, but it's looking well on its way to gathering some momentum there. And he should be the first signing of the Todd Boehly administration. It's just a case, as I said, just a matter of time now. That bid's going to go in. Whether it's going to be the one that's accepted, we'll wait and see. But yeah, for me personally, I think £45 million plus add-ons for Raheem Sterling is a good deal for someone with 1 year left on his contract, prime of his career, with his track record. I think it's great business, and it's a sort of business that myself and others have been calling out for. Smart business, doing more shopping from within the Premier League. It's refreshing to see that a lot of our targets are actually from within the Premier League, and that's not something that we've been used to under the previous regime with Roman. So I think it's good that we're looking to sign players with Premier League experience, and there's no one more versed in that department than Raheem Sterling. So stay tuned on that. A bid is imminent. I think a lot of the media outlets look like they've been briefed, stories breaking that this bid's imminently coming. So hopefully tomorrow, and hopefully negotiations, I think once the bid's accepted, we should wrap this move up pretty swiftly. Yeah, but Raheem Sterling gathering pace and should be, hopefully concluded by the end of this week, if not in the next couple of weeks, to be what you would imagine is the first signing. So yeah, Raheem Sterling, guys, looks like that's getting ever closer to him becoming a Chelsea player. Moving on to another player now that Chelsea have been heavily linked to, and that's Ousmane Dembele of Barcelona. The French international winger, very talented. Injury record is not great. Obviously, I've spoken to a few guys at Sky Sports. They're saying they're telling me that it's very much been Dembele's preference for the past 6 months to stay at Barcelona. Yes, he's been linked with Chelsea, linked with PSG. Despite what you might have seen or read, Dembele has not signed anything with Chelsea whatsoever. He wants to stay at Barcelona. That is his priority. He doesn't want to stay on the current terms. He wants to see if they'll offer anything new. But I just want to bring a little bit more of an update up here. So something from Ben Jacobs on Ousmane Dembele. Let me just get this up now. Here we go. So Ben Jacobs putting out some info on Dembele. Barca sources talking with confidence that Ousmane Dembele will stay. At no point have Chelsea agreed terms, so it's really his only option unless something dramatic changes in the next 24 hours. No truth whatsoever in a late Liverpool bid, no interest at all, and no offer from PSG either. Situation remains the same. Dembele must decide within 48 hours. Chelsea have got real interest, but they won't match his wage demands. If a formal offer materialises, it will be higher than the renewal offer, but for now, Dembele only has one choice: sign or be without a club. From Chelsea's perspective, a clubless Dembele gives them a little more leverage, but Barca sources expect him to sign. If he does, it could also impact a Rafinha move to the new camp. So yeah, it looks very much like this week is going to be crucial in the Ousmane Dembele story. Whether he will end up staying at Barcelona or if he just becomes a complete free agent attached to no club, then maybe that gives Chelsea a bit more leverage, as Ben was saying. But I mean, this is a player that obviously Tuchel admires. Chelsea want him, but it's an odd one because I don't know how much more money he's going to get out of Barcelona. Remember, I haven't actually signed anyone. They've agreed to sign Christensen and Kesse. Can't register them for financial reasons. Potentially, they'll be waiting to sell Frankie de Jong for £69-70 million to Manchester United to free up some funds there. But they still haven't been able to register players they've agreed to sign. They want to get Lewandowski as well. They want Rafinha. I don't know where this money's coming from. Obviously, they want to keep Dembele, but I don't know how much they'd be prepared to offer him. So this week is going to be key in the Ousmane Dembele saga. Fabrizio Romano also going on to say that Barcelona made no final bid in today's meeting with Dembele's agent, Moussa Sissoko. The Dembele camp rule out extending the contract unless an improved offer is placed, while Barca will take some time to analyse if they have room with FFP. So that would suggest that if Barca do have room, they'd probably be prepared to increase their offer. But yeah, I think as far as Dembele is concerned, I think it's really important that, you know, we try and get this done if we can, be there ready to pounce. I mean, I'm not really sure why we've not offered, say, a pre-contract agreement already. Maybe Chelsea are waiting for him to become a completely free agent and then go from there and get a bit more leverage, etc. We'd obviously have to offer him a larger signing on bonus, etc., as a totally free agent. But having said that, you know, Ousmane Dembele, he's still young. You know, he's very, very talented, and he's a creator as well. And we could definitely do with some more creativity in and around that attacking third of the pitch for sure. But yeah, this week I think it's going to be key with Dembele. Again, the wages are an issue. I think if we were to sign him, it's reported that potentially he could be the highest earner at Stamford Bridge. I'm not sure personally how I'd feel about that, him becoming the highest earner. I don't really know about that. But at the end of the day, I think he's a very talented football player. And if Thomas Tuchel wants him, then we need to do everything we can to try and get him. I still feel that he'll potentially will stay at Barcelona. But, you know, this week is going to be really key in the Ousmane Dembele transfer saga. No new proposal on the table from Barca, apart from the existing one from the meeting today. So that's not been successful. Ousmane Dembele at the end of the week will be a free agent. So I'd be interested to see what Barcelona do here. But this is definitely one to stay tuned across, is that Ousmane Dembele hasn't yet decided his future. Peanuts Boris, yeah, I'm well, thank you, mate. Do you think Raheem Sterling? Yes, Raheem Sterling. Obviously, I don't know, you probably missed it earlier on. Make sure you do subscribe as well, mate. If you haven't subscribed already, I really appreciate all the support. Yes, Raheem Sterling, I believe, will sign for Chelsea. A bid is imminent. Thomas Tuchel desperately wants him. Personal terms have been discussed. Sterling's happy to move to London. You know, regular first-team football in a club that's challenging for major trophies. It's just all that needs to be sorted out with Sterling is the fee. So the bid is expected to go in this week, hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday. And then depending on what that bid is, we should be able to kind of reach a deal pretty quickly. But my guess is that Raheem Sterling deal will be done this week. And I reckon it'll be about 45 million pounds plus add-ons should get the Sterling deal done. You look like somebody from Made in Chelsea. Joe, I've never watched Made in Chelsea before, so I don't really know. I don't know who that Julius guy is, but maybe I do, maybe I don't know. I've been told I look like Thomas Tuchel quite a lot in the past as well. So, yeah, I don't know about that. But, yeah, Sterling, I think, mate, should be done end of this week, hopefully, or start of next week. And Ousmane Dembele will have a much clearer picture on his future come the end of the week, because, obviously, that's when his Barcelona contract expires. He needs to give them a season. He needs to give them a decision by then, otherwise it becomes a free agent and can negotiate with whoever he wants. Big up Texas Blue. Thanks for tuning in, bro. Not counting Sterling, who are the other priorities at forward other than Dembele, Richarlison and Rafinha? If we don't get Dembele, I don't think we should pay for the other two what they'll cost. No, I agree with that, mate. Sterling, I think, is done. I think we can tick that one off. I mean, and that's a bit presumptuous, but I'd say that's 70, 80% done that he'll end up there. The other ones are interesting because we're definitely going to get two. So if we get Sterling, then it's one of Dembele, Richarlison, or Rafinha. But it could be two of those three if Brozier were to leave as well, potentially. For me, I think out of those three, it's definitely Dembele. If we can get a deal done, yes, the wages will be high, but there'll be no transfer fee involved. So that is kind of appealing. Plus, he's a creator. But then out of the other two, Richarlison and Rafinha, I'd probably go with Richarlison over. I like Rafinha, but I think for £65 million, that's a lot of money for Rafinha. And if we can get Richarlison for around £50 million, the fact that he can play number 9 and he can play on the left-hand side as well, that versatility is important. Plus, as well, we can use players that Everton want to potentially bring that price down a little bit as well. I know Frank's an admirer of Billy Gilmore. Maybe we could involve him in a deal somewhere. I mean, potentially Conor Gallagher as well. If Tuchel assesses him in pre-season and decides he needs another loan or he wants to sell him, we could potentially use Gallagher as part of that deal as well. But yeah, mate, I think Sterling definitely. And then I'd like Dembele, but I'm not sure how possible that is. But out of Richarlison and Rafinha, I'd probably say just Richarlison, purely because of the versatility and the fact that the price will be a little bit cheaper. But yeah, I think Chelsea will definitely bring two attackers in, maybe three if Brozier is to depart. I'll be 100% disappointed if we fail to include Levi Colwell in the first team this season. Yeah, look, Levi Colwell is an interesting one, a very, very talented boy. A lot of clubs interested in him. He's done very well at Huddersfield. Thomas Tuchel will look at him in pre-season and then decide whether he's going to have a place in the squad or not. I don't know. I've got to be honest. I've not watched an awful lot of Huddersfield this season in the Championship. Colwell, obviously a talented boy. I think there's definitely space for him in the squad to take one of those positions. Whether not saying he should be playing in the first team like as a starter, but I think there's enough games with 5 subs to go around for him to play a part. But Thomas Tuchel will decide on that. I personally feel that depending on who we bring in at the back, that Colwell could probably benefit from a Premier League loan. Maybe somewhere like an Everton, maybe that sort of level of a club. I don't think we should sell him personally. I think he needs to have a Premier League loan and then be given an opportunity at Chelsea. It's just kind of haunted by the likes of Livramento, the likes of Mark Guehi, Tomori, etc. We've seen this happen before. I think it would be a mistake to do that again. But having said that, mate, obviously Thomas Tuchel, we're backing the manager. If Tuchel ultimately decides that he doesn't think Colwell's good enough, then we might be disappointed, but we have to respect that decision. But for me, he'd be given an opportunity in pre-season and then Tuchel will decide. But yeah, I don't think we should sell him. I think if Tuchel decides he's not quite ready yet, a Premier League loan is definitely the one to go for on that. Guys, just make sure you smash a like as well on this stream, and please do subscribe to the channel. Looking to hit 600 subscribers by the end of this week. So if you're tuning in now and you're not subscribed, please smash that subscribe button. It really helps me out and I appreciate all of your support as always. Let me get to this quickly. Don't think about Brozier thing or a player swap Everton or Rishi. No problem, mate. Yeah, definitely something to stay across. Guys, whilst we're on attackers, just wanted to touch on. Hold on a second. What's this one here? MCIG. We are somehow buying attackers and not defenders. At this rate, Colwell and Baba Rahman will be starting next season. I mean, yeah, mate. I get your point. And this is an interesting point as well. The fact that the most glaring positions that we need to fill are defensive targets, having lost Christensen and Rudiger, Aspie and Alonso potentially moving out as well. Like, defensive priorities are of the most importance, and it seems at the moment that the attacking signings seem to be taking priority over that, which I do find a little bit strange. Obviously, Chelsea could be doing a lot of work behind the scenes that we're not aware of, but I get your point, MCIG, that it is slightly odd that defense needs addressing ASAP, and yet it seems to be the attacking line that seems to be being prioritized at the moment. So hopefully, once Sterling's through the door, mate, we might see things heat up with the defensive targets, which I will get onto in a sec. But yeah, I just wanted to round out the attackers with just a quick thoughts on the news about Cristiano Ronaldo that broke on Saturday night. Obviously, Top Bowley had a meeting with Jorge Mendes, the Portuguese football agent, very prominent within football world, one of the biggest agents in the game, represents a lot of people. The likes of João Felix, Rafael, Ryan Aït-Nouri, who have been linked with from Wolves. He represents a lot of players. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo is on his books as well. This is not going to happen, but you know what? I just wanted to talk about it anyway because, we can dream. We can dream. Let me just bring it up now from David Ornstein, one of the best journalists around from The Athletic, breaking this on Saturday night that obviously Bowley, as I said, met George Mendes in Portugal. The idea of Ronaldo to Chelsea was among subjects discussed. Unclear if Chelsea will pursue. United expect him to stay. I'm under no illusions that he's obviously not going to join Chelsea. But the fact it was even discussed is fascinating. I mean, don't get me wrong, 37 years of age, he's obviously at the end of his career. The guy is still a phenomenal football player. You only have to look at the 18 goals he scored last season and a, quite frankly, dog shit Man United team. And to see it, because I think it's more of an emotional signing, in terms of, could you imagine owning a Chelsea shirt with number 7, Ronaldo on the back? Sorry, Kante, you'll have to find a different number. Could you imagine having a Chelsea shirt with Ronaldo on the back? It would just be unbelievable. The guy would score goals for sure. Would he press? Probably not. Would he fit the system? Probably not. But if you offered the opportunity to sign certain players like a Ronaldo, like a Messi, like a Neymar potentially, certain players you just don't say no to. And Cristiano Ronaldo is one of those players. I know it's not going to happen, but it's something to talk about because I never ever thought I'd see Chelsea linked with Cristiano Ronaldo or being offered the chance to sign Ronaldo. But yeah, obviously I think And also, when was the last time we had a genuine footballing superstar at Stamford Bridge? You could potentially argue Eden Hazard, maybe, but we haven't really had a proper footballing megastar. And I would just love it. Cristiano Ronaldo at Stamford Bridge would be absolutely phenomenal. I'm fully aware it's not happening, but the goals that he would score, and even just to piss off Man United fans, it would be fantastic. Again, MCIG, I get your point. I don't know. I think he's desperate to play Champions League for sure. He'll be pissed that he's playing Europa League. Who knows if he'll stick about for another season? There's no guarantees that Man United will be Champions League for the following season after this one coming up. So yeah, I get your point. I don't know. He maybe. I mean, could we have potentially seen the last of Cristiano Ronaldo in the Champions League? I don't think so. But I mean, it's not completely far-fetched to say that at all. But yeah, I think for sure this is obviously not going to happen. But to see Ronaldo linked with Chelsea is phenomenal, and it would be unbelievable. Just the unveiling, the amount of shirts. From a commercial perspective, it'd be a fantastic deal to raise the profile of the club, and his wages, etc., would be big, but we could afford it. And the money that we bring in from all his commercial activities, all shirt sales, etc., would be phenomenal. I would just love to own a Ronaldo shirt, a Chelsea Ronaldo shirt. But yeah, it's not going to happen. But yeah, I just thought I'd give my thoughts on that. In Dreamland, it would be fantastic. But I mean, don't never say never. It's potential that there's a small, maybe 1% chance that it could happen. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, Ronaldo to Chelsea, I'd love it. Just to see it, just to have a footballing megastar. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. And another one, whilst we're on it, guys, Neymar. Again, another player that's been linked with Chelsea in the past. He's got a contract at PSG, I think, until 2025 with an option until. Cheers. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for joining in, Daniel. Appreciate you tuning in, mate. Obviously, Neymar got a contract until 2025. I think it's going to extend to 2026. But there are reports coming out from RMC in France that he'd be prepared to consider his future. At the moment, he's very happy to stay in Paris, doesn't actively want to leave, but saying that the report was saying that Chelsea are one of 3 clubs, along with Manchester United and Newcastle, that could actually afford the player. Now, Neymar, again, 30 years of age, he did have his best season at PSG in terms of attacking output, goals and assists under Thomas Tuchel. Again, I'm under no illusions that this is going to happen. I don't think it is. Guys in the chat, please let me know what your thoughts on Neymar are. Would you like to see him at Chelsea? Look, he divides opinion. One thing's for certain is that Neymar is one of the most talented footballers that the game's ever seen. The guy's skill and ability level are absolutely phenomenal. What is in question potentially is his kind of his work rate, his attitude potentially. But having said that, Tuchel said, he had no problems working with him, and he was very productive, got a lot of productivity out of him. So I don't know if that's true or not. Again, would he work in the Premier League? I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, MCIG, could you imagine a front three of Neymar, Ronaldo, and Sterling, or Neymar, Ronaldo, Havertz, or what? I mean, or Neymar, Ronaldo, Mount. I mean, it's the stuff of dreams, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. I mean, it would be a madness. And with Chelsea, you never know. But I do feel that like signings like Ronaldo, like Neymar, are something that would have been far more likely to happen under Roman Abramovich. He was almost one that kind of chased a mega signing, like a Galactico signing, almost, as it were. I know that Bowley wants, obviously, what do you call it? He wants to make a couple of statement signings. One of those two would be a statement signing for sure. Sean, Chelsea FC, big up, mate. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Would really appreciate it. Messi's contract runs out next year. We should go for him. I mean, yeah, as I said, mate, earlier, there's certain players that if you get an opportunity to sign them, doesn't matter what their age is or whatever, you just don't say no. And like the likes of, as I said, your Messis, your Ronaldos, your Neymar potentially. But guys, in the chat, what would your thoughts be on Neymar? Would it be a good thing to do? I think the transfer fee would still be large. Whether he'd adapt to the Premier League or not, I'm not sure. But there's no doubt about his ability. Again, his commercial value as well would be massive for the club. But I don't know if he'd really fit the system, to be perfectly honest. Would he score a lot of goals? I don't really know. Daniel, first signing for sure is going to be Sterling. I'd be shocked if it wasn't Sterling. I think the Ligt stuff is still a bit of a way off with the swap with Timo Werner and the amount of cash that Juve want as well. Sterling, for me, is the closest one at the moment and should be the first one through the door. Yeah, that's like a fantasy league starting 11. Defenders would send Neymar. Yeah, they would. I think they would. I don't know if Neymar would be up to the physicality of the Premier League. But yeah, it's something to talk about. I'm fully aware that Neymar is more than likely 99% going to stay at PSG. For me, the only way he leaves PSG is if they get a ridiculous offer, which I don't really think there's a market for him, to be honest. As mentioned by RMC, a reputable outlet in France, it's only really Newcastle, Man United and Chelsea that could realistically afford to have Neymar. I don't really think he's going to go to either of those. The only way for me that Neymar leaves is if he buys out his contract, but he doesn't want out that badly. So yeah, I think Neymar is another one of those that probably is not going to happen. Yeah, I do remember us being linked with Messi back in 2014. And again, I remember getting very carried away with myself thinking, fuck, Lionel Messi at Stamford Bridge. Is that going to happen potentially? But no, again, it's great when you see a club linked with these big names. But realistically, I think we know that none of those signings are really going to happen. We're not going to get Neymar. We're not going to get Ronaldo. But just to see us linked with Ronaldo is quite something. But as I say, in football and with Chelsea, never say never. Daniel, when do you think Sterling deal will be done? Hard to say, mate. It depends. A bid is going in this week for sure, whether it's tomorrow or Wednesday. If that bid gets accepted, I think this deal could be done by the end of the week. I still think the deal can be done by the end of this week, but I perhaps maybe expect an announcement perhaps over the weekend or at the start of next week. But I think 90% certain Raheem Sterling, unless anything drastically goes wrong, will be a Chelsea player next season. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in the chat about Sterling, whether you think it's a good signing or not. I'm just going to move on to defence now before I round out. And it appears that Matthias de Ligt now is the main defensive target ahead of Jules Koundé. Now, I find this one a little bit odd because he's been chasing Koundé for over a year now. We should have got the Koundé deal done last summer. And then we could have got it done this summer. Again, it was very much. I mean, I've seen it reported, I think, by Nathan Gissing actually at Demartio, a very good source with Chelsea-related news, that Koundé was more of kind of a Marina/club target, and that Tuchel, it wasn't really a Tuchel target, but he would be happy to have him. Now, I think, look, for me, if Chelsea really wanted Jules Koundé and Tuchel was happy to have Koundé, then this would have been done by now. We know that Sevilla wants 65 million euros, about 55 million pounds. Why is this not done? What are we waiting for with Jules Koundé? Why have we been fucking about for over a year to try and get Koundé, and then for us to say that actually he's not really a priority target? You get reports that he might be going to Barca, and who knows? They can't afford to register anyone at the moment, so fuck knows where they're getting this money from. But yeah, I mean, Koundé, he's not a top target, and he's not the main target anymore, but he's still a target. And, I think we should be looking to get de Ligt and Koundé done, but I just don't understand why we've wasted so much time tracking Koundé and not even an official bid or anything going in. 65 million euros, I believe, is the fee that Sevilla want. It's less than his release clause. So if Tuchel's happy to have him, whilst he might not be his first choice or whatever, he's happy to have him. But I think that's why we're seeing other names on the list now, the likes of Kimpembe, the likes of Nathan Ake. Demartio again this evening saying that we're back in the race for Skriniar at Inter Milan potentially. I mean, a possible domino effect there is that PSG are interested in Milan Skriniar. So we could see Skriniar to PSG, which then enables Kimpembe to come to Chelsea. Who knows? But with Jules Koundé, I think at 23 years of age, can play centre-back, can play right-back, can play in a 4 or a 3. It makes sense to the right profile. I just don't understand that, suddenly if he's not really a main target, what have we wasted over a year for trying to get him? Or have we really been trying to get him? Because we've not put any official proposal in. And if we do put an official proposal in, is Koundé going to actually want to come anymore? He might think, Chelsea have been pissing me about. I've been waiting to come. I really want to come. And it's not happening. So I don't really understand what's going on with the Jules Koundé situation. I mean, I don't think it's totally dead in the water at all. But I don't really get what the hold-up is. It looks like they're prioritising a de Ligt deal. Maybe there's an agreement in place with Koundé, possibly that, look, we'll get you, but we just want to try and get this De Ligt deal done first. But then you're thinking, well, just get the Koundé deal done anyway, and then go full focus on De Ligt. So yeah, something's not quite adding up with the Koundé situation for me. Guys, again in the chat, let me know your thoughts on the Koundé situation. Are you surprised that it's not happened? What do you make of the fact that he's now not the top defensive target? But moving on to the top defensive target, I touched on it on the stream on Saturday. That Matthijs de Ligt is now Chelsea's main defensive target at centre-back. Fabrizio Romano saying that Chelsea will sign 2 centre-backs, so it's not just going to be de Ligt. It will be de Ligt, hopefully, and one other. But yeah, it remains to be seen. Matthijs de Ligt, Timo Werner is potentially going to be included in a swap deal. Juve are happy to take Werner, I believe, and I think Werner is okay to move himself. It's just the amount of money and that would go along with Werner. I think Chelsea were prepared to were looking at offering 25 to 30 million euros, and they're prepared to go to a maximum of 40 to 45 million euros. I think Juve might potentially be holding out for 50 million euros. But the fact that Juve would be prepared to take Timo Werner is a massive plus. I think we need to get him off the books because he's not... we need to get him off the books. He's on massive wages and he's just not delivered at all. I know De Ligt's on big wages, but if he were to come in, I think he'd be on slightly under what Werner's wages were, and he would kind of just take Werner's slot anyway, so we actually wouldn't be spending any more on wages on De Ligt. He would just take Werner's salary slot. But yeah, I mean, the fact that Juve want Werner is a massive plus. We have to hope that, they still want him and he still wants to move, because otherwise we're looking at a lot of money for De Ligt. But again, I think there's potentially, I've seen in a report that there's other players are interested in. Juventus are interested in other Chelsea players. Not sure who those could be. Jorginho is probably one that they'd be interested in as well. So, I mean, it's a potential that it might not definitely be Werner. It could be another player instead of him if he decides he doesn't want the move. But yeah, I'm all for this move. Swap deals is not something we see that often in football, and it's very hard to get done because you've got to get, multiple parties to agree. But, for me, I think it's smart from Bowley, obviously using his American sports background with trades, that, we've got a lot of players that we need to get off the books. And I think as we're discovering, it's going to be very difficult to shift on these players just in an outright sale because there's not much of a market for them. So we can involve them in a player plus cash deal to get something we actually want, which lowers the fee and gets someone off our books. I think it's a massive plus, and I think De Ligt is a great player. He's versatile, can play in a 4, and he's versatile across the back 3, left-footed, can play left centre-back, right centre-back, or the middle centre-back. Sean, if you could just bang that up, and I'll give my reaction to it. Just let me know what it's saying. Daniel, I'll get to Declan Rice in a sec. American owners do love to structure swap deals. They do love that shit, They do love it. It's kind of a mainstay of American sports. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm a big fan of Matthijs de Ligt, 22 years of age. He's got a lot of experience there for someone so young. And the way that he captained that Ajax side at 19 to obviously Dutch title, Dutch Cup, and to that Champions League semi-final run. And it's a myth as well that he's not done well at Juve. Because, all right, I've not watched a lot of Serie A, but he has done quite well there. Although he's perhaps not played as much as he would have wanted to, but I think Matthijs de Ligt would be a fantastic signing. But I also believe that we should be getting him and Koundé if we can, because we need 2 centre-backs, and that would be perfect. I mean, yes, I'm perhaps like a little bit more experienced, perhaps someone with an older age profile, but the links with Koulibaly seem to have gone really quiet. And other centre-halves... I have seen that, Sean. Yeah, I have seen that in regards to the Sterling news. As I said earlier, I expect that bid to go in the next couple of days, and then hopefully deal wrapped up by the end of the week. But yeah, back to De Ligt. Look, it's a priority signing, I think, for sure. We need to do everything we can to get this done. I think Koundé should come as well, but whether we've pissed him off too much or whether Tuchel actually really wants him, we need 2. I think, for me, I think this De Ligt deal will get done. It's going to be difficult and it will take a lot of negotiating, but I think it will be De Ligt. But the reason why things are going a little bit quiet on Koundé is because obviously he's not really a Thomas Tuchel priority, which is why we've seen the likes of Nathan Ake and Kimpembe, etc., on the list. I mean, Ake is an interesting one because he's a Cobham graduate, someone that did play a little bit at Chelsea. He's versatile, can play holding midfield, can play centre-back, can play left-back. We sold him to Bournemouth for about 20 odd million pounds, which was a good deal back then, really. A lot of money for someone that wasn't playing a lot. We also had first refusal on him as well, if he were to leave Bournemouth. We didn't even take that option up either. Manchester City got him for 40 million pounds. And it would be a bit of a shame, really, or a bit of embarrassment. We've seen it so many times before, Chelsea letting players go and then grovelling back to try and get them. But supposedly, Thomas Tuchel's a big fan of Nathan Ake. He's got that Premier League experience. He's a good player. He wouldn't be, one of my first choices. But, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if we got him. But I think he's definitely behind the likes of Kimpembe on the list. I think he's behind Koundé. I think he's behind the likes of Skriniar potentially as well. So I'm not sure if Ake will happen. But for me, I'd love it to be De Ligt and Koundé. But I think it's going to be De Ligt or Koundé, plus perhaps one slightly lesser quote-unquote centre-back. Perhaps a Premier League one already, maybe an Ake. We've been linked with Max Kilman in the past, maybe Adam Webster at Brighton. I know these aren't the most exciting names. Or maybe even Kimpembe. If PSG gets Skriniar, then I think Chelsea got a chance to get Kimpembe for sure. But yeah, on the De Ligt deal at the moment, I think, yes, Juve would be open to having that swap deal with Chelsea, but I think that's still got a bit of a way to go. And it's a little bit quiet on Koundé. Sevilla wants 65 million euros, and there is no official bid or proposal from Chelsea in that regard. In terms of outgoings at the back, though, obviously we know that Christensen and Rudiger have gone. There's not really any update on Azpilicueta's future or Marcos Alonso's future. The fact that Azpilicueta's got a 2 years plus one on the table from Barca, he's still waiting to make his decision. Likewise, Alonso, I think, has agreed personal terms with Barcelona. They're just looking to agree a fee at the moment. So, yeah, no real news on those two. In terms of incomings in the fullback area, not really an awful lot there either, other than Jonathan Klaus, the Lens wing-back. He'd be £8.5 million, 10 million euros, 30 years of age. I think he got the most goals and assists, or most assists in Europe's top 5 leagues last season from wing-back. He's a French international. And at £8.5 million to bring someone in who actually likes the club as well. I think he's a Chelsea fan. We want players that want to be at the club. And he ticks those boxes. He's cheap. And he provided an option for 2 or 3 years. So I think that would make sense. But again, it's gone a little bit quiet on that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of defensive targets, that needs to be addressed ASAP. Looks like things are going along a little bit with De Ligt. Koundé seems to be on the back burners and not really sure what's going on with the likes of Kimpembe or Nathan Ake. But yeah, hopefully once Sterling's done, we should hopefully see more going on with defensive targets. But I think as MCIG in the chat said, it's surprising that attacking signings seems to be taking a priority over defensive signings when we need defensive signings much more at this point in time. Yeah, but guys, to round out the stream, I'll just get to Daniel's question about, do you think Declan Rice will leave West Ham and come to Chelsea? This is a difficult one for me. It's clear that we need a holding midfield player, and it's going to very much, if we get Declan Rice, we will almost certainly play a 4-3-3 next season. If we don't get Rice, I think we're going to stick with 3 at the back. We could even get Rice and still play 3 at the back, but it's clear that Rice is the number one midfield target. We haven't really been linked with any other midfield players whatsoever in that holding position. MCIG, we still need sub wing backs. We do. Klaus, as I said, would be an option there. I don't know who else we can really go for. I think that's maybe why someone like Ake is being looked at in the list, because he can play left back as well. So that would add back up there, but it doesn't really help us on the right-hand side either. Or Klaus would help us on that right-hand side for sure. And it would give us an option if James ever played right centre-back for whatever reason, we could play Klaus out on the wing. So yeah, that would help. I mean, if we've got Klaus and Ake, I could see that covering them. Rice, will he come to Chelsea? I think Declan Rice will come to Chelsea. Will it be this summer? I'm not sure. West Ham are going to play hardball. It's going to be a lot of money to get out. He's still got about 3 years left on his contract. They're in no position to sell. I think Chelsea will push on with their interest as the window goes on. But if I was pushed now to say, will Declan Rice be a Chelsea player come the end of the transfer window? At this point in time, I probably have to say no. But ask me again in a few weeks, and the answer could well be different there. But I think Rice is he's the main priority. Thomas Tuchel loves Declan Rice. He wants Declan Rice. So Todd Boehly needs to do what he can to get this deal done, because he's the clear number one target. I think he's a great player. He's a Chelsea fan. He came through the academy. I know he left when he was 14. He's a top player, and he helps us out short term, and he helps us out in the long term as well. He's a sort of guy that if we got him this summer, he'd be part of the team for the next 10 years and building a spine with the likes of Mendy, the likes of, you know, the Colwells, the Reece Jameses, the Mason Mounts, Rice, etc. You know, that would be a spine for many years to come. So, yeah, I'd love Declan Rice to come. He divides opinion on Twitter with Chelsea fans, but I think it would be a very, very good signing. But again, I wouldn't want to pay more than 100 million for him. West Ham potentially interested in Armando Broja. Whether we could do some sort of negotiation there on a deal potentially to bring the price down, who knows? But yeah, Declan Rice for me would be number one midfield target. Yes, we've been linked with Sangare at PSV. I don't know an awful lot about him, but otherwise, very, very little on the likes of links in the midfield. But again, we're very overpopulated there. You know, we've got Jorginho, Kante, Gilmore's back, Gallagher's back. We've got Loftus-Cheek. You know, that's 5 bodies in there already. Mateo Kovacic as well. That's 6. You know, there's a lot of bodies in there. Yes, if we play 3, a midfield 3, that gives us a bit more room to keep some of them. Then possibly in 5 subs, there would be more game time for some of them. But yeah, I think we also do need to sort out the futures of Jorginho and Kante, with them heading into the last year of their contracts, find out, you know, what they need to do. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting in midfield. I don't expect anything to hot up with Declan Rice until kind of defensive targets are sorted out and attacking targets are sorted out, to be honest, because I think it's almost a free run at Rice now. Man United want De Jong. City have got Calvin Phillips. Liverpool have already don't really need anyone in that area. They're not after Declan Rice. So it's very much kind of a free run for Chelsea. You know, Arsenal have signed Fabio Vieira. Spurs have got Basuma. It's very much an open goal now for Chelsea and Rice. So, yeah, I mean, right now I'd say Declan Rice won't be a Chelsea player next season as things stand, but there's a lot of time now between now and the 1st of September for things to accelerate along. And MCIG, unless Rice is in demands it and tells Hammers to sell, I don't see us paying so much. No, I'd agree with that. I cannot see us paying more than £100 million tops. And I don't think we would be prepared to pay that, in all honesty. Let me just have a quick check on Twitter to see if any more news has kind of come through in the last few minutes whilst I've been streaming. It doesn't look like anything else has come through. Apart from Fabrizio saying second bid is coming more soon. Personal terms have already been discussed yet. Seen that. No, I think that's pretty much it. On this from Ben Jacobs, very quickly on Dembele. Chelsea will revisit a transfer for Dembele if he becomes a free agent, but will not meet his current wage demands. So that very much with Dembele, if he becomes a free agent, if he doesn't accept Barca's offer, they don't increase it, and it gets to the end of this week, Chelsea will revisit that deal, but he'd have to lower his wage demands, which I think is fair because his wage demands are absolutely ludicrous at the moment. But yeah, as I said earlier, the Dembele situation will become much clearer towards the end of this week, as will the Raheem Sterling situation as well. And hopefully, this is a big week for Chelsea now because pre-season starts at the end of this week. Thomas Tuchel will be back with the first kind of group of players and starting that pre-season training. It'd be great to have one in, but we need to start doing something. You know, we need to start putting bids in. We need to start getting moves done. And this is where Chelsea now need to start acting. We've seen us putting in a lot of work behind the scenes, Bowley doing bits, but now's the time to push on, be serious, and get some business done. Daniel, I've got no idea, man. I couldn't predict that now because I'm not seeing kind of what the signings we've made are. But if you want an answer straight off the bat, I'd probably say third again. But yeah, obviously a lot depends on who we bring in. But yeah, this is a massive week for the club. A lot of things will become clearer. Raheem Sterling's future and the future of Ousmane Dembele, to name two. There's potential that by the end of this week, Sterling could be signed. Defensive targets, I think De Ligt's going to be tough to get. Expect more news on that potentially this week. Maybe Koundé as well. And who knows who else we could be linked with. But yeah, that seems like a good point to round out, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for getting involved in the chat. Really appreciate all your support and all your input. Please do smash a like on this stream. If you've not smashed the like, please click that like button. It really helps me out. And most importantly, guys, please click that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I want to hit 600 subs by the end of this week, edging ever closer. So again, if you're tuning in live and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do click that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Road to 600 by the end of this week. Please do click it. Thanks for all your support, as always. Hopefully, we'll be celebrating a signing at the end of this week, and there'll be more news on other players potentially coming to Stamford Bridge. Guys, thank you so much as always. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next couple of days with another update, and hopefully there'll be some more news. But until then, take care and up the church.